This is your host, Steve from the back, coming at you again, um, with another rant. So, it's October season, and, Halloween's obviously coming up. And some people, not so different from myself, actually, hold the belief that during certain times or certain seasons, um, there are certain changes that may occur spiritually, you know? Like some people may believe that there may be a thinning of the veil or separation between this realm of what we kind of can perceive and see and that of a realm that is more hidden, you know, kind of like the merging of something, kind of like the merging of the spirit world and the physical. And that's a very sloppy that's a very like sloppy uh uneducational way to even describe that, but that's the best to my knowledge. Um, that I could just put it, in my way, in how I see it, and I do believe there's some truth to that. So, um, I just want to talk about an occurrence that I had that was really weird. So, and this happened recently. So I'm walking from the laundromat, and I realize all of a sudden that for some reason when I'm walking, I'm actually walking to a parking lot, and I'm starting to begin to walk through the parking lot. Parking lot being next to a greenhouse, and then next to that, a funeral home. And on the side of that, an apartment, and then another apartment. One of those apartments being, the one that I live in. And so I get this weird impression suddenly, like as if I feel something that is uncannily familiar, like I felt this before. It's a thing that I'm not going to say that I felt this before, but I got an impression mentally first that I was starting to experience something that was oddly familiar, like really strangely familiar. Of a type of familiarity that is something that I could only describe as having being in an altered state of consciousness, whether that's naturally or induced by uh some type of substance, you know. And automatically I got shortness of breath. Now I don't know why I got shortness of breath. I think maybe it's just my body reacting to like a shock or something, or feeling of awe and excitement or something, or curiosity. Kind of all that combined, like a little bit of fear, not heavy fear, but just a little bit of fear, because when you don't know what's going to happen next, there is some amount of fear there, because you're hoping nothing bad is going to happen, but at the same time you're naturally being cautious. So I think people understand that and probably have experienced that too. So I got that feeling, and then all of a sudden I started to feel like a hot feeling, not hot like, but warmer around me than everything else. I'm thinking like, well, that's odd because it's cold out. Like it's not freezing cold, but it's colder on the chilly side, in more on the wet side. And I'm thinking like, why is it that just in this one area, everything around feels like it's like I walked into a more heated environment all of a sudden. And I'm thinking like, okay, so maybe what this is me somewhere somehow. It I don't know how, but somewhere somehow perceiving in a tangible way a change that has happened in the atmosphere in that one place. Like in that one spot. And maybe this isn't something that's too unfamiliar with people, that have experienced spiritual things. Maybe this has happened to you before. I don't know. Uh, but I thought it was so weird. But then I was thinking to myself, like, well, hey, people do talk all this stuff about, like, in a certain time of season, how there's a sort of like a shift and a blending between, like some spiritual realm in this realm. And I'm thinking, it doesn't mean that that has to do really anything to do with that. But I do know is like, I know I was experiencing something in in that moment when I felt that heat. One thing I realized was I had this automatic response, like this automatic desire to stay in that spot. Like I wanted to just sort of like stay in that spot and try to experience what was going to happen next, Um and for some reason it just sounds weird, but it's the honest truth. All the light around me, I just really did not want to go into any light. I didn't want it to, and it was very dark in that spot too. It was like there was really almost no artificial light. There was just moonlight enough to see, but it was the dimmest. When you go through an alley or you go through a parking lot or something dark skies, that's the darkest part of where the area you're in, and it was like that, But it was like warm. And it was just like I kind of wanted to just stay there, and to be honest with you, like even minutes after, I just wanted to be in the dark. It's like I didn't want to be near light. I didn't want to go the street in where the street lights were. When I came home, I actually just sat in the dark for like, maybe I'm trying to think how long it was. Not an hour, but maybe like at least like 20 minutes, just in just pitch black. And I was just thinking on things. Like I was thinking on, things about my life, thinking on like, you know, what I want the future to look like, what I want the future to be like, stuff like that, like really important stuff. And, not so much giving us huge thought of to what that experience really meant. Just thinking like, could I build upon this? You know what I mean? Like, and I know I'm rambling, but trust me, if you follow me this rant, it's gonna make more sense because this rant is kind of about like building upon things, and I feel like the progression of human evolution in those of us that are in this occult type of community, that are in this left hand path community, this whole occult demonology, we're part of this type of thing or whatever you want to call it. I feel like the real evolution in humanity, at least in regards to us, is to wholeheartedly, it's like the opposite of being afraid of something, to dive into this occult thing um with an open mind, you know what I mean? So after that, what I actually did, when I like turned the lights on and everything, and I decided I was gonna get up, and I decided like, I was gonna get up and do something. I was like, you know what? I had an odd thought. I said, maybe I'll meet a girl at the bar. So I was like, maybe I should go to the bar, But then, honestly, this sounds weird, but it's mundane. I'm a normal. Not normal, but I'm a normal enough person. So I thought, well, if I meet a girl at the bar and I get lucky enough to take her back here, I probably should clean this place up because it looks like crap. I don't want to curse in this rant. So I just started cleaning my room, and I rearranged some stuff, gave it a classic room, you just clean your room, clean, you know, uh, and then I actually decided like I don't want to go to that bar because um it's just I figured in my head, I said it's not really that appealing anyway, the bar itself. But the thing is, in my head I thought, man, I probably got a better chance of meeting a girl at my actual job than I actually have at meeting a girl of any substance. And what I mean by substance, I'm not talking about some fancy smancy girl who's like supposedly wife material. No, I'm just talking about a girl that's attractive enough, because and I'm not trying to be mean, but a lot of the girls at these bars, and I've talked about this before, you guys, a lot of girls at these bars are just like passed around. They don't look, they're not special. Like, there's nothing visually special about them. They just go to these bars and, like, they do the cock carousel. And I'm not trying to be just disrespectful to women either. I'm not trying to say that. Look, I have no, it's not, I'm not a guy who's disrespectful towards women. Look, you girls know what you do when you go to these bars sometimes. I'm talking about the girl that goes to the bar, goes around, been with a bunch of guys at the bar, just looking for the new guy that she hasn't been with, or that she thinks is interesting, or is, and the problem with that with me is, if she really is something to look at, it's worth my time. But if she's not, it's a dime a dozen things. Like, what? I'm not going to waste my time going to a bar, being annoyed, being under hot, bright, artificial lights, and smelling people's alcohol and all this annoying stuff, that just to, like, no, come on. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say it to, like, so you get the point. So I decided to stay home, and I actually stayed home. And, like, later that night, I had a dream, right? And the weird thing about this dream was I realized something strange about this dream, right? Which I'd never actually experienced before, which is weird because I'm a lucid dreamer, but it was something new in a dream that I've never done before. And I thought it was, like, really cool. And in this dream, the weirdest thing was I wasn't quite, like, consciously aware that I was even dreaming yet. Um, because at first what I started to see was it looked like a hallway almost of a movie, almost like a hotel with paper, what do they call that? Wallpaper. And I started to see, like, a shadow that I can only describe looked like cobwebs, or maybe the cracking of ice is the pattern I could describe it as. Like, it's a very rigid looking, very dark, shadowy type of thing that was spreading, almost like it was crawling, almost across the wall. And the more that I've, like, fixated on it, I started to realize that it went from me looking like I was observing something to my vision shifting to that I was moving along the wall, and that I was that shadowy thing that was crawling slowly across the wall. And I was crawling towards a woman that was in the middle of the hallway, and there was, like, an older man that was there next to her. And as I started to transfer from being that shadow to materializing into, like, a body, like, that looked just like my normal body, kind of, and I was in the air, and I'm realizing, oh, this is one of those dreams, because I'm not even walking, I'm floating. Like, this is not, this is not the here and now. This is a dream. Okay, this is a very lucid dream. The guy ran away. He got afraid, like any normal person would do, and he just darted off. And I noticed that, like, I had a very, very intense control over this woman, almost. Like, she's so fascinated for some reason with me just floating down towards her, that I realized in that moment that, like, I could persuade her to do almost anything I wanted. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, I was thinking of, I'm just gonna take advantage of this and see what I could do. You know what I mean? I'm gonna see, I'm gonna see how far that I can get with this. You know what I mean? Um, and there's more and more that happened in that dream, but I just want to focus on the part of, like, a lot of times dreams have, like, certain weird meanings to them. And, you know there's something about, like, certain types of darkness, and I just have to be honest with this. A lot of people look at darkness in itself, and they think darkness is like this malevolent dark thing, that's this scary evil thing. And, like, I've always said this, of, like, it's a very unlearned approach to perceiving certain things, because sometimes things are just what they are. Like, they're kind of beyond certain things. you know Something can be something that is so functional in itself, that it no longer really has to be in the realm of necessarily like malevolent or benevolent, or it's kind of this entity unto itself, and it doesn't really have to have certain labels that you're trying to put on it. It could really only be used, it could be used for something bad or good, I guess, depending on the person, who's trying to harness this or who's trying to use this for whatever reason, or whatever type of, what's the word, intentions that they really have. But I was just realizing that, like, um there's everything has a purpose, you know what I mean? Like, everything has a purpose, no matter how weird it may seem, um or how alien it may seem to us at times. Like, things always have a purpose, just like even the lucid dreaming. Like, I feel like lucid dreaming with myself has a purpose because I feel like it's a way that I learn lessons. Like, I learn deeper things that are presented to me in a very weird way, but ultimately, if I how do I say this? Like, if I align myself with that, and I smart enough to understand what to follow and what to just disregard, ultimately it usually always leads to something to my benefit. And I've noticed that. I've noticed that through like pretty much all my life. So, this rant is basically talking about, like, and I've had other rants similar to this. You know, this rant, I think I was gonna title it something like "Don't Be Brain Dead" or something like that, because what it is I'm just basically telling people, like, certain things that maybe you think to just dismiss or not pay attention to. Sometimes you should pay attention to them. You should actually pay attention to it, because it could be something that is trying to convey itself to you in a way, but if you're not paying attention to it, you kind of miss what you're supposed to learn. It's like you miss what you're supposed to learn, and you may miss a stepping stone. I don't know if that's a good word, but it's like you miss a stepping stone that would help you to get over a hurdle or something. Like, even at a psychological level, like, it's trying to teach you a lesson, that something that was holding you back. You learn something that gave you a better understanding that helps you move forward a little bit more. Um, and one of the things I noticed about this, or these type of experiences, like this, is they would leave a bad taste in some people's mouth because it seems scary. Like, it seems literally dark. It seems dark to people, so they don't really maybe want to entertain the thought of something like that, you know? Or some part of them wants to, like, uh push it back into their mind to act like it didn't happen, or to try to pretend like it's nothing, because they're a little bit too afraid to delve into it, because it kind of scares them a little, because it just feels dark, and it feels, for lack of a better word, it feels a little vampiric. It just doesn't mesh with them. Like, it just feels it just feels a little too horror movie. It's just a little too freaky. They're not wanting to go there. And to me, that's nothing. You know what I mean? To me, it's just kind of like an experience like that is to me, is interesting and exciting, but I know that that's nothing compared. That's nothing compared to what you can actually experiences that you can actually have when you're dealing with anything of a spiritual nature. That's how I put it. So, that's nothing. But I mean, like I said before, you know, the evolutionary path, in my opinion, and maybe you guys looked at the picture of the title, and you see the girl and whatever. Uh, and you see the little lizard eggs and you see all that, and that's just kind of like my way of saying, like, now if you look at this girl, obviously, if you have taste like mine, you can tell that this girl is absolutely gorgeous, damn near flawless, you know and as far as evolution, of human evolution, obviously she's looking like the pinnacle of human evolution, obviously. Like it's like where your genes aren't going to much get better than that, you know what I mean? But you know all like jokes aside, being in all seriousness, us as a people, as a human race, I would say we do, and I'm going to close here, I don't want this rant to go on long. I don't think we should do ourselves a disservice any longer to be afraid of demons. That's one thing we need to get out of. We need to stop being afraid of the dark is another thing. We need to stop attributing things that don't necessarily belong. Stop attributing things that really have no concrete basis except for Hollywood, pretty much, in things, and stop inserting them into your life and trying to demonize. That's like a hilarious pun of irony, demonize. Stop trying to basically criticize things that you don't understand because you simply don't understand them, or because you fear them, or whatever. Like, stop trying to do that disservice to yourself, because in the long run, I don't think that it's a good move. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's a good move. I think it's doing yourself a disservice because you're taking power from yourself that was meant to belong to yourself, but you're just taking it away from yourself and pretty much handing it over to the next person. In missing, like I said, you are missing a hurdle. You're supposed to hurdle over. You're supposed to go forward. You're supposed to ascend a little. You're supposed to learn something, and that's supposed to help you to get closer to something. And you're supposed to build upon that. You're supposed to improve upon that, no matter how big or small, right? Those are positive things. So don't demonize what could be positive for you for the sake of you just going along with a supposed, I really, really have to stress supposed, because it is it's total BS. Supposed common knowledge of what you think is really bad or good, or what because you really don't know. That's the honest truth. This stuff has been hidden from us. I mean, it's been hidden from humanity to a degree in itself, but I'm just gonna be real, you guys. Guys, I'm black. I'm a black man. Let's just be honest. A lot of this Christianity stuff and Pentecostal Christian stuff has been forced down the throats of black people for so many years, and people like myself miss out heavily. Not myself. I don't have an excuse, nor do I have a desire to miss out on what I can be taking advantage of, and be stepping into and be aligning myself with. I know that, but not all of us know that. And there's a lot of us out there that are just lost. Not necessarily that you have to be black, but I'm just saying, like, there's a ton of us that are black that are lost. You know, um, so I'm just putting this out there, and I'm talking about experiences like this because this is some of the very stuff that, and I'm not trying to say this in a mean way or a racist way or like a self-racist way, but especially us that are black, this is some of the stuff that we were taught to stay away from. This is the stuff that we were taught is evil, and it's like, don't you dare, like, don't you dare go near this, don't you dare entertain that, don't you even, it's that whole type of thing. So, and I know now that that's completely wrong, that's completely backwards, and it'll get you messed up. It'll put you in Maybe not in a world of hurt, but it'll put you in a very bad situation because, like I said, you're missing out on so much that you could be aligned with. So, you know, it's just a thought, you guys. And, like I said, don't be brain dead. Don't just like and I know anyone really would even listen to this rant that would actually really deeply try to pick this apart. You already know. So, it's not really that's really kind of dumb for me to really say that, but I'm sure there's maybe someone that's gonna watch this, just maybe on the off chance. Maybe someone will be watching this that actually really still is on the fence about aligning themselves with all that they know they really should be aligning themselves with, on a spiritual level. And you already know what this supposed dark side is, you know what this dark stuff is, but you're on the fence. If you're on the that's really what this kind of for push you. If you're on the fence, I'm trying to let you know that like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like you really have to go into this. You can't just you can't be on the fence about your spirituality when you're dealing with something that is so promising. When you're dealing with this whole demonolatry type of deal, when you're dealing with this, type of stuff, you have to be very wholeheartedly with, not saying have to, I'll actually reword that. You don't have to be anything, but it would hurt you so much for you to be on the fence about this. It's actually kind of insulting to be on the fence about this. So there you go. This is your host Steve from the back. This is Steve's Art and Fun channel, and I hope you guys enjoy the rant. Um, for those of you that are listening, if you do celebrate Halloween, I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it's fun. I hope I have a fun Halloween. I don't know what things are gonna look like, but you know, hope you guys have a good one. Until next time.